Come on, don't exaggerate, he's just an old man. Doubt he can even afford this meal. The waitress's mocking voice rang out. All the diners felt indignant at what Mr. Holloway was enduring. Meanwhile, he sat quietly in the corner, gazing into the distance, as if lost in his own thoughts. His face remained unchanged, showing no anger or sadness. Are you curious where this story will lead? What fate awaits the racist? Stay tuned until the end to find out. Late afternoon sunlight cast warm rays through the large glass windows of Pemberton Bistro, a renowned fine dining restaurant in Portland, Oregon. The interior buzzed with quiet conversations, the clinking of glasses, and the soothing melodies of a live pianist in the corner. This was a place where patrons celebrated life's milestones or closed lucrative business deals. Amidst the luxurious decor and tailored suits, the entrance door opened, revealing an elderly black man. His steps were slow yet deliberate, his back straight despite the years etched into his frame. He wore a navy blue coat with delicate embroidery along the cuffs, a small black briefcase tucked securely under his arm. His expression was calm, yet there was a quiet authority about him that turned a few heads. The hostess greeted him with a smile that felt slightly forced, almost imperceptible but present nonetheless. "Do you have a reservation, sir?" she asked, glancing over his shoulder to ensure he wasn't holding up the line. "Yes, under the name Holloway," the man replied, his voice steady and polite. The hostess scanned the list, nodded, and led him to a secluded table in the corner near the kitchen, the least desirable spot in the restaurant. But Mr. Holloway didn't complain. He sat down, folded his hands on the table, and perused the menu. But moments passed, then several more. The waitress assigned to his section, a young woman in her early 20s named Todd, walked past his table multiple times, barely sparing him a glance. When she finally approached, her smile was artificial, and her tone was somewhat sharp. "Sorry for the wait," she said briskly, deliberately emphasizing the word "sir" with a hint of sarcasm. "We're very busy today. I'll be back shortly to take your order." Mr. Holloway nodded politely and thanked her, even though nearby tables filled with younger, more casually dressed diners seemed to be receiving immediate and attentive service. He noticed Todd repeatedly glancing at him with a scrutinizing gaze, occasionally exchanging smirks with her colleagues. He also caught the sidelong glances, a woman 2 tables over whispering something to her partner, both of them looking him up and down with disdain. Minutes ticked by, and Todd returned, but her demeanor was no warmer. "I apologize, but we're a little understaffed today," she said, deliberately emphasizing the word "we," as if Mr. Holloway didn't belong in the restaurant. "It might be a while before I can get to you." Mr. Holloway pressed his lips into a faint smile. "Take your time," he said, his tone betraying no hint of frustration. He wasn't about to cause a scene, but the discomfort in the air was palpable. Mr. Holloway sat back in his chair, observing the room with a calm demeanor. He was all too familiar with this kind of subtle injustice, recognizing the discrimination that wasn't loud or overt, but made itself known through delayed service and dismissive glances from the staff. Nevertheless, he remained composed, his hands resting gently on the table as if he were merely passing time. Meanwhile, Todd busied herself with nearby tables, her tone cheerful and her smile effortless as she took orders and joked with other patrons. When she passed his table again without acknowledging him, she deliberately bumped into his chair, nearly causing him to fall. The unease among the other diners began to grow. Seconds stretched into minutes, and though Mr. Holloway maintained his composure, a small part of him wondered how far this would go. He reached for his water glass, only to find it empty. A few tables away, a waiter delivered a fresh glass of wine to a customer who had arrived long after he did. Todd finally returned, carrying a tray of food for another table. She paused briefly as she passed Mr. Holloway. "Haven't you decided yet? I thought old people made decisions quickly," she asked, her tone almost dismissive, as if the delay were his fault. Mr. Holloway looked up at her, his eyes steady and kind, yet with a quiet intensity that made her falter. "I'm ready to order whenever you're available," he said politely. Todd sneered. "Oh, you know, our kitchen is really overwhelmed today. Maybe you should choose something simple." We wouldn't want to keep you waiting too long, would we? She deliberately emphasized the word we, with a touch of sarcasm. As if Mr. Holloway wasn't a welcome guest. Mr. Holloway remained calm. I'm not in a hurry. Todd scoffed. Of course. Take your time. But, I'm afraid all the best dishes are gone. All that's left are these. She placed the tray of food on his table, revealing plates of leftovers, cold and clearly spoiled. This is our special dish. We call it the surprise meal. Hope you like it. Mr. Holloway looked at the plates of food, his expression unchanged. Is this how your restaurant treats its customers? Todd shrugged. Sorry, this is all we have left. If you don't like it, you can leave. She smirked. Besides, I doubt you can afford a meal here anyway. Then Todd turned and walked away, leaving Mr. Holloway alone with the plates of leftovers. He watched her walk away, his eyes showing no anger, only a deep sadness. Todd nodded, muttering, "What a nuisance," as she walked away. As Mr. Holloway sat alone with the plates of leftovers, a wave of indignation began to spread through the room. A young couple sitting nearby. The woman could no longer contain herself. I can't believe she dared to do that, she whispered. This is a fine dining restaurant, not a garbage dump. Her boyfriend nodded. We have to do something. She's being outrageous. They stood up and approached Todd, who was standing near the bar, chatting and laughing with a colleague. Excuse me, can you explain this? The woman asked, pointing towards Mr. Holloway's table. Why did he receive plates of leftovers? Todd shrugged. That's all we had left. If he doesn't like it, he can leave. But this is discrimination, the woman said louder, attracting the attention of other diners. He's a customer just like us, he deserves respect. Todd scoffed. Come on, don't make a fuss. He's just an old man. Doubt he can even afford this meal. Todd's words were like a spark, igniting the room with anger. A middle-aged man stood up. I can't believe what I just heard, he said, his voice filled with outrage. I've dined here many times, and I've never witnessed such disgraceful behavior. I'll never come back here again. Several other diners began to rise, wanting to leave in protest. We won't either, they said in unison. We won't tolerate this kind of discrimination. The room erupted, voices of indignation echoing throughout the space. Todd stood there, her face pale, speechless. She hadn't expected her actions to cause such widespread outrage. The entire room fell into a stifling silence. Suddenly, the office door at the far end of the room opened, and a man in a suit walked in. His face was stern as he walked straight towards Mr. Holloway, without so much as a glance at Todd. Dad, he said, his voice deep and powerful. Are you all right? Mr. Holloway looked up at his son, smiling faintly. I'm fine, son. You handled that very well. The man turned to face Todd, his eyes as cold as daggers. Ms. Todd, he said, his voice devoid of emotion. You have crossed a line. Your actions have not only insulted a customer but also severely damaged the restaurant's reputation. You are fired immediately. Leave now. Todd paled, stammering. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. No need for explanations. The man interrupted. Your actions speak for themselves. Security. Two burly men appeared from somewhere. Approaching Todd, they said nothing, simply standing on either side of her, waiting. Todd knew she had no choice. She lowered her head, tears streaming down her face, and turned to leave, the two security guards following closely behind. But the man wasn't finished. Dana, he said, his voice still icy. Call human resources. I want them to prepare a file on Ms. Todd's behavior. I'll send it to all the restaurants in the area. I don't want any other restaurant to endure her discriminatory behavior. Todd stopped, turning her head towards the man, her eyes filled with horror. No, please don't, she said, her voice trembling. Please give me a chance. Your chance is over, the man said, his voice showing no mercy. You made your choice. Todd lowered her head, tears falling freely. She knew her career was over. She turned and walked away, never looking back. The man turned to the other diners, who were watching the scene with stunned expressions. I apologize for this inconvenience, he said, his voice sincere. This behavior is unacceptable, and I assure you it will never happen again at Pemberton Bistro. Elijah turned back to his father, his eyes softening. What would you like to eat? Dad? he asked. Mr. Holloway smiled. Anything you choose, son. Elijah smiled back. He knew his father always supported him. No matter what, he turned to look out the window. Watching the bustling street, he knew he had done the right thing. Not just for his father but for everyone who believed in fairness and respect. This story serves as a powerful reminder that discriminatory behavior, whether subtle or overt like Todd's actions, is unacceptable and that every individual, like the diners and Elijah, has a responsibility to stand against injustice. Mr. Holloway's courage and Elijah's integrity are essential qualities for building a just society, where respect and kindness, which Todd lacked, are the foundation of all relationships. And one person's actions, as demonstrated by Elijah, can create positive change in the community. Are you indignant about the injustice Mr. Holloway endured? Let's show our empathy by hitting like and sharing your own stories. Every share is a small act, contributing to a better world. Leave a comment, share your thoughts, and together let's spread fairness in society.